What's going on, college sports fans? We're talking college sports in the Deep South, where college football is king, and we would like to believe that the SEC conference is the best conference in all of college football. Also, the SEC West is the best sub-conference, and the battle cry is War Eagle. Once again, it's K-Stu the GOAT. We are talking now about Auburn spring practice. Want to give a big shout out to the Auburn basketball team finishing 30-10, school record for victories. Also, the first ever Final Four appearance, and the SEC tournament champions. That marks the second year in a row that the Auburn basketball team were the SEC champions in some form or fashion, actually winning the season SEC championship in 2017. Either way, 2017 through 2018. But either way, big shout out to Bruce Pearl and how he's developed that program. Now, as we ease into week 4 of spring football practice, obviously the A-Day game is this coming Saturday. Want to make your plans to be there because it's always a great event. Especially for the Auburn Tigers football team, a great experience to get some, get some playing time in front of the big crowd. And also huge for the Auburn fan base. I mean, my goodness, it's always a great event. A lot of people, a lot of football players from past times, alumni, and all of those types of things. It's kind of a bit of a homecoming for Auburn University. But as we fast forward, looking forward to the 2019 season for the Auburn Tigers, we look at Kevin Steele as a defensive coordinator, one of the very productive, keeping his teams under, 20 points per game for the last few years that he has been there. Has been very sound as a defensive coordinator. Also now with Travis Williams as his co-defensive coordinator to kind of help him out a little bit. One thing we want to look forward to coming into the 2019 season is, of course, upgrades linebacker-wise, not to take anything away from Deshaun Davis and company, but Auburn will definitely need a little bit more athleticism out of their linebackers to be highly competitive in the SEC. That's just the bottom line. But then when you look at the secondary over the past few years that Kevin Steele has been the defensive coordinator, I mean, I look at stats like, takeaways, interceptions, things of that nature. And then using Alabama as a small sample size comparison wise, we want to look at this to see some opportunities to where Auburn can create some leverage and to flip some field position. So when I look at interceptions for Auburn, it's just not overly impressive. Now, one of the reasons why they, the numbers tend to not be overly impressive, because see, Kevin Steele likes to run a lot of press man coverage. Press man coverage, you're assigned to one receiver, and your goal is to read the receiver's motion to locate the football, and that usually doesn't translate into interceptions. Is more so trying to dodge pass interference calls, and you get more deflections out of a coverage like this. Now, if you think about the coverage, the interception that Javaris Davis had against Purdue, that was the benefit of a zone type coverage. Javaris Davis was playing a nickel back, and he read the play, and he was in perfect position because he could see the quarterback. He's reading the quarterback instead of reading the receiver. So that's why you tend to have more interceptions when you have, say, man zone read or zone read coverages, things of that nature, because you're reading the actual quarterback and reading his eyes and kind of being in an area where the receiver may or may not be. So when we look at, 2016, his first year there, Kevin Steele, only 11 interceptions for the whole year. The next year, only 6. And last year, because he had a lot more, inexperience, he couldn't put these freshman guys in a lot of situations where they are running man coverage because they just weren't experienced enough. They get torched, kind of like the second half against Alabama where they got torched. You have to get out of that man coverage at a certain point, especially if you don't have the athletes to do it. This year, I think he has the athletes to do it, which is why you will see a lot more aggressive coverages from Kevin Steele this fall. So when you look over to the Alabama side of things, Alabama in 2018 having 14 interceptions, 19 in 2017 and 16 because A, they're athletic, and B, they run a variation of coverages at the University of Alabama. So we're going to look forward to seeing how this develops. I think in order for Auburn to get themselves over the hump, they're definitely going to have to create way more opportunities via turnovers, fumbles, They definitely have to get teams off the field, because down the stretch of 2018, teams were able to stay on the field too much, averaging about 22 first downs per game during that stretch. Yardage, have to cut down on the yardage that they had midseason. 450 yards per game, averaging 20, giving up 28 points per game. That's not a trend that's going to get you 10 wins, 10 wins and maybe the opportunity to be undefeated in the SEC this year, especially considering the upgrades in recruiting for a lot of teams, the upgrade in coaching. So these little things are going to be paramount for Auburn to be successful going into 2019. All right, so let's get this comment section active. We don't have the benefit of live chat just yet. It will be coming very soon. But either way, let's get this comment section active. How do you feel about, where Auburn's defense is realistically? We see the stats, but how do you see it realistically? Once again, it's K-Stu to go for Vernon Speak Sports. Want to give a shout out to my fearless and true gang. Subscribe to this channel. We're giving exclusive Auburn content. Once again, War Eagle.